That's right. Back at it again. Full custom hot dog, and we're not doing a Blu-ray review today. No, we're going to do a Shudder review. I think it was last week or a week before. I don't know. Time is melting together for me. And I had mentioned that I wanted to watch some of the stuff I keep hearing people talk about, mainly some Netflix and some Shudder exclusives. So this is a Shudder exclusive called Terrified, not to be confused, of course, with Terrifier, which I talked about on a separate episode, which I wasn't really a fan of. This is Terrified, a Argentinian film. Original title is Aterrados. I don't have many tidbits about this one, so this one might be shorter than anticipated. I tried to poke around, couldn't find any good deets for you guys. But it's exclusive on Shudder. I've been hearing people talk about it, and at first I thought they meant to say Terrifier. I kept seeing people saying, watching Terrified, or I heard Terrified's good, checking it out, or oh my gosh, Terrified is so good, blah, blah, blah. I kept thinking they meant Terrifier, and I was like, are you guys crazy? Like, what the hell? We watched the same movie. But, so, after more and more poking, I found out Terrified's its own movie, and I watched it today, and I was glad I did. I really dug it. To give you, let me sum up what it's about. It's kind of a cool... It's a cool, original yet familiar idea. I think those usually work the best when it's something that takes what you know and makes it new. And this kind of puts a nice twist on the ghost story. So here's the synopsis from IMDb. When strange events occur in a neighborhood in Buenos Aires, a doctor specializing in the paranormal, her colleague, and an ex-police officer decide to investigate further. Now this, basically there's a small section of a neighborhood that seems to have issues with hearing voices coming from the sinks, and seeing things and ghosts or the dead coming back, it seems. Not in a tacky way either. This one guy has a ghost that comes out from under his bed and walks in the closet, and it's been tormenting him. This other neighbor is constantly complaining about the hammering, and nobody knows how to approach this stuff. And the way it opens is interesting too, as a man kind of watches as his woman, his waifu, his IRL waifu has been hurt by a paranormal, I want to say a paranormal activity? That's wrong. By a ghost or something. And they don't quite explain well, I guess, okay, they do. Never mind. So then he ends up going to a nut house. They show him similar pictures that this has happened before. He kind of goes like, he talks about it. They go to his house. They realize that it's not just him, but the neighbors, and that there's something bigger in this little area happening. And it kind of becomes this weird ghost story mixed with zombie-esque body horror. It almost feels like Pulse at times. I don't know if you've ever seen the Japanese Pulse. The American one, I guess, counts too. It's obviously not as good as the Japanese one. This is much less philosophical than the Japanese Pulse, which I highly recommend. But I recommend checking this out as well. There's, excuse me, there's some genuine scares in this. I was very surprised. It's very rare for me these days to get creeped out by a horror flick, and this got me. There are a couple jump scares. I don't find them cheap. I thought they were very well done. But I would definitely recommend this movie to pretty much anybody, especially if you're into supernatural flicks. This is the paranormal genre is usually my least favorite, and that's not to say I don't like it. It's just the one I gravitate towards the least. I'm a big slasher man. I love slashers, and supernatural flicks are usually kind of hit or miss for me. But I notice I've liked them more lately, so maybe I'm rediscovering them. But anyways, this movie has a lot of really good imagery as well. I tried to show some of the cooler shots in the slideshow, but there's some crazy blood stuff and some naked stuff, and yes, it's a cool mix of. I always like seeing body horror, because it usually takes a lot. It takes not just an imagination to design some kind of body horror monster thing, but it also takes some kind of budget usually. This is mostly practical, it feels like, with some minor CG, but it's definitely creepy, and it really works. This is great. Check it out. Check out Shudder. If you're a horror fan and you don't have Shudder, you should get it. The only reason I wouldn't recommend it for myself is because I own so many movies and I'm constantly watching them. But for most people, Shudder in horror are just fantastic, and I'm really surprised at the curation of that place. They really have a great selection, and that's not just me shilling. And also, Joe Bob is coming back for Thanksgiving, and I believe Christmas, and hopefully something more regular. But definitely check out Shudder. I should check out maybe some more of the Shudder exclusives. They got some cool looking stuff, some stuff I've heard about, but very surprised by this one. This caught me off guard. It's also great to kind of see a foreign film from a country where you don't see much horror come out of. At least I don't. Now, this director is Demián Rugna. I hadn't seen much of his stuff before. He did a film called, let's see, I think he did. Looks like he has a lot of editor credits. But director and writer looks to be his main thing. He did a film called You Don't Know Who You're Talking To, The Last Getaway. If you have, what is this? The Death Knows Your Name. Let me know if you've seen any of those. Toss me some recommendations if you've seen anything from this guy or anything from Argentina. I thought this was a really cool take on the paranormal and supernatural. A nice twist. They don't beat it over your head with. There's not a whole lot of depth to this movie, which is fine. We don't need it. I also didn't completely care for the ending. And if you know me, you know I don't talk about spoilers, but so I'm not going to now. I don't normally talk about spoilers anyway. But yeah, check out Terrified. I can definitely recommend this to fans of the supernatural, and if you want to see some cool freaky stuff. And then let me know what you think. If I let you down with a recommendation, I apologize. But I'm glad I watched this. I actually kind of want to watch this again. I don't know if I would buy it outright. It would be a $5 to $8 buy for me on my buy scale, on my 3 or 4 tier buy scale. So yeah, check it out. Let me know what you think. And thanks for watching. You can holler at me on Twitter, Full Custom Hot Dog with the last O, because it's just too long for Twitter. And until next time.